You are in no danger right now. Statistically, almost certainly, nothing around you is threatening your life. The room you are in is safe. The people nearby mean you no harm. The future, while uncertain, is not stalking you. And yet, some part of your brain disagrees. It is scanning, quietly, constantly, looking for something wrong in a world that, by almost every objective measure, is safer than any world your ancestors ever inhabited. And it keeps finding things. The news cycle feels catastrophic. A stranger's tone feels hostile. A minor uncertainty feels like the edge of something much larger. A small mistake feels, for a moment, like evidence of something permanent. You are not paranoid. You are not broken. You are not failing at the simple task of feeling safe in a safe world. You are running a brain that was built for a completely different one. And once you understand exactly how that brain was designed and why it was designed that way, the way you experience your own thoughts will never be quite the same. Let's start with something most people never question. Why does bad news travel faster than good news? Not just in the media, in your own mind. Think about the last time you received a piece of criticism alongside a genuine compliment. The compliment landed, you noticed it, and then it moved on. The criticism stayed, it replayed, it found companions in your memory, other moments where you felt similarly exposed, and it assembled them into something that felt larger than any single comment should. This asymmetry is not a personality trait, it is architecture. Your brain was not built to weigh positive and negative information equally. It was built to weight negative information more heavily, process it more deeply, hold on to it longer, and return to it more often. Psychologists call this the negativity bias, and it runs in virtually every human being alive. Not because humans are naturally pessimistic, but because the humans who paid closest attention to what went wrong were the ones who survived long enough to become our ancestors. Here is the logic your brain inherited. A positive experience, finding food, receiving warmth, feeling safe, is valuable, but missing it doesn't kill you. A negative experience, a predator, a hostile stranger, contaminated water, a social rupture within the tribe can be fatal if ignored. So your brain learned to treat negative information as though it deserves a category of its own. Not just more attention, a different kind of attention, the kind that doesn't let go until it has extracted every possible lesson. And that learning system is still running. On your inbox. On a glance that lasted a half-second too long. On a silence that could mean nothing, or could mean everything. Your brain is not overreacting. It is doing exactly what evolution spent hundreds of thousands of years optimizing it to do. It is just doing it in a world that no longer requires it at this intensity. But here is where it gets more interesting, because the negativity bias is only the first layer. There is a second system running beneath it, and this one is responsible for something even more specific, the way your brain generates threats that don't exist yet. Your brain is a prediction machine. Every moment of your waking life, it is not simply observing the world around you. It is running simulations of what comes next, taking everything it has ever experienced, every pattern it has ever noticed, every outcome it has ever witnessed, and using that library to model what is most likely to happen in the next moment, the next hour, the next year. This predictive system is one of the most remarkable things your brain does. It is why you can finish someone's sentence, why you can catch a bull that hasn't arrived yet, why you can navigate a conversation with someone you know well without consciously thinking about every word. But here is what happens when that same predictive system encounters uncertainty, when the future is unclear, when the outcome is unknown, when the model has gaps it cannot fill with confidence. The system doesn't pause. It doesn't wait for more information. It fills the gaps. And because of the negativity bias running beneath it, because the brain has been trained over hundreds of thousands of years to treat unknown outcomes as potential threats, it fills those gaps with danger, not always, not every time, but disproportionately. The unknown becomes something to be feared rather than something to be curious about. The uncertain outcome becomes a catastrophe in rehearsal. The unanswered question becomes evidence of a problem rather than simply a question without an answer yet. And here is the thought worth pausing on. Most of what you have ever worried about has not happened, not because you worried well, not because your vigilance prevented it, but because the brain generates threats at a far higher rate than reality delivers them. It produces dozens of false alarms for every real one. And this was the design. In the ancient world, the cost of a false alarm was wasted energy. The cost of a missed real threat was death. So your brain was calibrated to produce false alarms generously, Because a brain that occasionally overreacted to nothing was far more likely to survive than a brain that waited for certainty before responding. You are not anxious because the world is dangerous. You are anxious because you inherited a brain that assumed it was. Now hold that thought, because there is a third layer, and this one explains something you have almost certainly experienced, but probably never had words for. Your brain doesn't just generate threats from the outside world. It generates them from inside you. Thoughts arrive, unbidden, that feel threatening. Not because the content is dangerous, but because the brain flagged them as something to pay attention to. A sudden image of something going wrong, a thought you immediately want to push away, a scenario your mind constructed and then recoiled from. Many people experience these intrusive thoughts and interpret them as meaningful, as revealing something dark about who they are, as proof that something is wrong beneath the surface. But here is what the research shows. Intrusive thoughts are not a sign of psychological disturbance. They are a feature of a brain running a threat detection system at full sensitivity. Studies find that the vast majority of people, across cultures, across demographics, across personality types, experience unwanted, disturbing thoughts on a regular basis. The difference between someone who lets them pass and someone who becomes trapped by them is not the content of the thoughts. It is the meaning they assign to them. A brain running a high-sensitivity threat detector will generate noise. It will flag things that are not threats. It will produce thoughts that feel alarming precisely because the alarm system doesn't have a filter for plausibility. The filter was never the point. Speed was the point. Volume was the point. Erring heavily on the side of caution was the point. And now you are navigating a quiet Tuesday inside a brain that was optimized for a world where caution was survival. But here is where this becomes something other than simply a problem to understand. Because there is something in the research that most conversations about negativity, bias, and threat detection leave out. The same sensitivity that makes your brain see danger everywhere is the same sensitivity that makes you notice beauty. The same system that catches the subtle shift in someone's tone when something is wrong, catches the subtle shift in light when something is extraordinary. The same brain that replays negative experiences searching for lessons, replays meaningful ones too, holds on to them, returns to them. The depth of processing that makes threat feel so large is the same depth of processing that makes love feel irreplaceable. That makes a piece of music land somewhere below thought. That makes a moment of genuine connection feel, even years later, like it happened yesterday. The brain that thinks everything is dangerous is the same brain that feels everything deeply. You don't get one without the other. And maybe that reframes something. Because the question is not how to turn down the sensitivity. Turning it down would cost you more than the anxiety is worth. The question is what you do with the understanding that the alarm system is not a verdict. That the threat your brain just generated is not necessarily a truth. That the catastrophe your mind is rehearsing is a product of a system designed to rehearse catastrophes, not a prophecy. Here is what changes when you hold that. When the scan finds something wrong in a world that is mostly safe, you can recognize what is happening. Not a discovery, not evidence, not a signal that the danger is real, just a very old brain doing its very old job. In a world that no longer fits the job description, you were not given a calm mind. You were given a vigilant one. One that has been scanning the horizon since before your earliest ancestor had a word for danger. One that kept every human being in your lineage alive through conditions that would have ended almost any other species. One that has never once, in the entire history of your kind, stopped looking out for you. Even when you didn't ask it to, even when you didn't need it to, even when looking out for you meant turning a quiet afternoon into something that felt like the edge of something larger. It was never trying to make you afraid. It was trying to make you ready. And the fact that it sometimes gets those things confused is the price of carrying a mind this old into a world this new